Twilight's Nightmare, Chapter 16, Nightmare's Family. Nightmare smiled, enjoying the sensation of Dreams' wing holding her.
Luna,
she thought nostalgically. She looked down through the obsidian floor's reflection of the physical world. Twilight was still in the embrace of her friends. Nightmare almost found herself giggling from the emotional bleed over.
Is this what being drunk is like?
She wondered.
So, spill.
Rainbow said. Twilight nodded.
I think it's best if I start from the beginning. I reckon that's the best place to start, Anna Tale.
Applejack commented.
First, I need you to pinky promise not to tell any pony else. I understand wanting to keep this horrid affair out of the newspapers, darling.
Rarity said.
I'm worried about what the princess will do to any pony that knows.
Twilight explained. Fluttershy paled and buried herself in the hug, hiding from the outside world.
Nah, we can handle anything,
Rainbow said, full of bravado.
I know what she did to me. The fact that she even brought herself to do that terrifies me. Do you know how much power she has? I do. I held it, felt it, used it. And you were awesome!
Rainbow spread her wings and would have taken flight if Twilight had released her from the hug.
Zap! Boom! Pow!
Twilight's aura closed Rainbow's mouth.
That's not the point. The point is, the only reason I am willing to risk telling you girls is that we are the elements of harmony. Oh, silly! We already know that! If that's the surprise that you have for us, it's not very surprising.
Pinky said. Twilight face-oved, letting out a happy laugh.
What am I gonna do with you, Pinky? Oh, take me to a party?
Pinky asked, hopefully.
Okay, later.
Twilight added.
Okie dokie Loki!
Pinky said, putting party supplies back into her mane.
That is still maddening.
Nightmare mentally spoke.
It's just Pinky being Pinky.
Twilight responded.
We do have a wing dedicated to her.
Dreams offered.
No!
Both Twilight and Nightmare forcefully thought. Twilight stiffened in the physical world. Dreams giggled in the mental space, wrapping Nightmare in a twin-winged hug.
You're no fun, Nighty. You okay, Sugar Cube?
Applejack asked.
Yes, just remembering when I tried to understand Pinky's pinky sense.
Twilight said, nodding once.
The reason I'm willing to tell you is that the princess cannot do anything to you, not without destroying or at least damaging the elements. So we're safe?
Fluttershy asked, her single visible eye full of fear.
Yes. Will you promise me, girls? Please?
Twilight asked. They all went through the motions and said the silly yet potent words.
Thank you.
Twilight said before starting the story.
No, sorry. The original Twilight was given a spell to learn. That sounds part of the course for you.
Rarity said. Twilight nodded.
Yes, but I don't think I was meant to be able to cast the spell. Please. You not being able to cast a spell?
Rainbow laughed.
Well, you're right. She did cast the spell.
Twilight said, eyes starting to shimmer with tears again.
What's it do? What's it do?
Pinky was vibrating, making every pony's teeth shake in their heads. Twilight lit her horn. A translucent image of a young unicorn Twilight formed floating into the air.
Thank you, Trixie.
Twilight thought as she cast the illusion spell as she started her tale. In the mental space, Nightmare looked up at Dreams, studying her colors and mane style closely. She shrugged, turning back to the tale.
Twilight Sparkle cast a spell she should have not been able to. Failing to fail, yet again.
She paused.
Where is Spike?
She asked, with worry.
Nothing to worry about, he's with your folks.
Applejack said. Twilight smiled thankfully, before continuing.
Yet again, she failed at failing.
The image's horn flared and disappeared. In its place, 6 new ponies floated. She pointed at each.
Gray the Mage, Nova the Passionate, Rulebreaker the Rebel, Dancer the Sensual, Sunchaser the Dreamer, and the Innocent Child. I think I tell it better, but her illusions are better than my toys.
Dreams pondered. Nightmare joined Twilight's friends in studying the images. Each seemed drawn to a different one. Fluttershy gazed tenderly at the child. Rainbow seemed impressed with Rulebreaker. Rarity nearly fainted at the sight of Dancer's beauty.
She's probably dressing her in her mind.
Nightmare thought with amusement. Applejack gazed with distrust at Gray. Finally, Pinky was waving her hoof through Nova's burning mane.
Hey, Twilight! Your mane does that too!
She said.
That's not all you get from her.
Dreams teased Twilight. Nightmare smiled more, enjoying the friendly banter. Twilight blushed slightly.
Where do you think I get it from?
Twilight's blush deepened.
Hush you.
She mentally responded. Putting a hoof to her chest and performing Cadence's breathing exercise, she forced her blush away.
So, Twilight became 6 ponies.
Applejack asked, doubtfully. Twilight nodded.
Unfortunately for them, they were not who the princess needed.
A few motes of flames danced over her mane as she sobbed. Nightmare could feel grief and rage leaking from Twilight.
It will be alright,
Dreams thought to Twilight as she nudged Nightmare.
We are both here for you, my host.
Nightmare added. Dreams nodded thankfully at her. With her friends around her and the mental words of encouragement, Twilight regained her composure. Pinky used her tongue, devouring a marshmallow she had somehow toasted on Twilight's mane, with no pony noticing.
That mare...
Nightmare thought with exasperation. Twilight, unfazed by Pinky after years of exposure, just continued.
The princess needed Twilight. Or at least some pony that could be the elements of magic. She needed a pony able to cast all of the possible affinities magic can have.
Twilight's face darkened, and her expression hardened.
All of Twilight's children were different. They all had their own aspects, so the only way the princess could get what she needed was if she turned 6 ponies into 1. So, she just cast a spell and put them all together into 1 pony?
Fluttershy asked, hopefully. A shake of her head was Twilight's response.
I'm afraid not, Fluttershy. What you said to Princess Celestia earlier?
Twilight nodded.
Yes. Twilight's children were... They were the donators of the essence used to make me your wellspring.
Rarity gasped.
Yes. Any pony care to tell us what this magic stuff means?
Rainbow asked.
Twilight is saying that her very soul is made from 6 other ponies.
Rarity answered.
Are you some sort of nightmare night monster now?
Pinky asked happily.
I hope not.
Twilight said morosely.
Not to say I don't believe you.
Rarity stated.
But do you have any evidence? Without it, it will just be your word against Celestia's.
Twilight's gaze fell.
None I can show any pony.
Rarity gathered herself, adjusting her mane.
Darling, even if you did, do you know what this would do if this got out? I don't mean us. I mean the country. The world.
Twilight looked up with interest.
War.
Rarity simply said.
Princess Celestia is an icon. She is the bright light that guides the nation and the strength that shields us from outside forces. So, I just have to accept it and move on?
Twilight said calmly. But the sparks of flame on her mane told a different story. Rarity shook her head.
No, darling, of course not.
Twilight sighed.
I have to think of my ponies.
Twilight nodded to herself.
If it was for the defense of the nation, then what she did to me, the original Twilight, and her, what she did could have been perfectly legal if she filed the right paperwork.
Twilight slumped. The others hugged her tightly.
You know, I was not expecting this hug to last so long.
Nightmare commented.
Thank you for letting me have this.
Twilight responded. Twilight enjoyed the hug for a time, before directing her thoughts to Nightmare.
You know, now that we are a family, family.
Nightmare interjected.
We have a daughter, and I want to help raise her too, if you will let me. Family.
Nightmare's mind flickered back to all the interactions she had watched from Twilight's point of view over the years. Twilight's head shot up.
Who turned the words on?
She thought in a panic.
I did.
Dreams responded.
In case the princess came back. Even added a surprise that will only trigger for alicorns. Cadence!
Twilight teleported. The hug ended. A frantic Twilight was once more bound by the chains of her pact. Nightmare suddenly regained full control of the body, and after being dragged from her mindscape, it took Nightmare a moment for her senses to catch up. She was standing before the main doors. Her horn could pick up Alicorn Enchanted Unicorn magic from the other side of it.
Please, get her to stop. Tell her to wait. Don't let Cadence get hurt.
Twilight pleaded.
Wait.
Nightmare called out.
Explain, quickly.
She thought.
Dreams took my harmless ward and added something to it that will only affect Alicorns, and it might kill Cadence. Please, don't let that happen.
Her host begged.
How do I suspend the wards?
Twilight pushed every detail about the wards into Nightmare's mind. Helpful notes color-coded, possible improvements, everything. Nightmare's eyes crossed, and she spent a few seconds finding what she needed. Nightmare lit her horn, and it glowed with a powerful luminescence as she reached out and twisted the wards to deactivate them.
Turning off the wards like that, it must seem like I am welcoming them,
she thought. Making her best attempt at salvaging the situation, she opened the doors with her aura. There before her stood her host's brother and sister-in-law. He was in partial armor and had 2 swords, and she was dressed up as if going for a light shopping trip. Cadence was an alicorn, so that was not to be taken lightly. Nightmare started to greet them.
Shiny Cadence, I...
A massive wave of emotions hit her. Nightmare's gaze fell under its weight. Love, happiness, joy, gratitude, and so many happy memories. Twilight, Shining said. Nightmare mentally pushed Twilight away, lifting her gaze and glaring at Shining.
Did she send you?
No, we're here because you're my LSBFF, Shining replied, smiling. The torrent of emotion from Twilight was calming. Nightmare stepped back from the door and welcomed her host's family in with a motion of her wing.
Family,
she thought, the image of her little star filling her mind.
We have to do the greeting or she'll think that we're the changelings.
Twilight interrupted, sending the instructions on how to do it. Nightmare froze.
You want me to do what? No, you can do it.
Nightmare mentally stepped back for a moment. Nightmare could feel the smile on her face, as the strangest greeting to be found under the stars began.
Sunshine, sunshine, ladybugs awake. Clap your hooves and do a little shake.
Control snapped back to Nightmare, Twilight's emotions once more making her feel giddy. She giggled and almost fell. She swayed once before ending up in a hug. The feeling of wings around her, she could almost imagine like it was so long ago. She felt her eyes close, her own feelings mixing with Twilight's. Slowly coming to her senses, Nightmare formed a plan. She had the elements on her side. Having these 2 on her side would be useful. She thought about her little star, who happened to have a second mother.
It would also save Twilight a lot of pain. What do you call him, Twilight?
Nightmare asked.
BBBFF. It means Big Brother Best Friends Forever, so that means you'll need to protect him too.
Twilight answered.
BBBFF, how much do you know about what Princess Celestia did to me when I was living in the palace?
Nightmare asked, trying to hide the fact that she was ready for battle. Given the state of her body, she should not have even tried. What do you mean? Shining said. Cadence's ears flicked towards Shining.
Shining? What do you know? Twilight!
Rainbow grabbed Nightmare's attention. She was approaching so fast, Nightmare almost tried to catch her in her aura to stop her crashing.
Twi! Don't just disappear like that! We only got you back! Why was I here again? Oh, the wards.
Nightmare thought before saying,
I had to disable the wards before any pony got hurt.
Twilight, Shining said in a light tone of reproach.
He did warn me to be careful with what I put in wards.
Twilight commented.
I was worried that the princess might come back.
Nightmare said, watching for the reactions.
Twi got into one hay of a shouting match with Celestia. Oh, hi you two.
Rainbow interrupted. Rainbow was a distraction she did not need, and if this turned into a fight, having her out of the way would keep her safe. Nightmare channeled some alicorn power into her voice and the surrounding area, using it to add a slight compulsion, instead of her typical use of inspiring terror.
Rainbow, head back to the girls and let them know everything is alright. Please?
She smiled fondly.
I have a few words for my BBBFF and old full sitter here. I will be back with a snack soon.
Rainbow saluted and did what she was told to.
I really need to practice flying some more.
To make what she said true, she would have to get some snacks. She stepped away from the warm embrace, and she could feel Twilight's regret that the hug was over. Nightmare sorta missed it too. Nightmare started walking, a simple gesture commanding her host's relatives to follow.
So, Shiny? Cadence? Care to answer?
They both followed. When you were younger, Shining said before hesitating. Cadence brushed a wing against him, her feathers parting his coat.
Go on,
she said. Nightmare watched Cadence's wings settle back into place, and she definitely had beautiful wings. She wanted to feel them around her again. You learned some very dangerous dark magic. Celestia had to seal it away, for your safety.
Celestia calls murdering foals sealing away dark magic?
Nightmare's thoughts boiled in rage. She could not force the image of her hated sister killing her little star out of her head.
Is that what she told you?
She said in a voice devoid of all emotion. In the mental space, dreams wrapped Nightmare in her wings, and Twilight shared happy memories about Shining and Cadence. Shining nodded. Twilight, did something else happen?
I will tell you in a bit. I don't feel like saying any of this more than I need to, and my friends deserve to know as well.
Nightmare said. The door to the kitchen came into sight.
I'll get the food.
Twilight thought as she seemed to walk past Nightmare in the mental space. She felt her horn light, and a large number of things being controlled by her aura in the next room. The amazed look on Cadence's face was more than worth the risk of letting Twilight control her magic. Being honest with herself, she was impressed as well, just better at not showing it.
Cadence is the Princess of Love, right?
Dreams asked.
That's right.
Twilight responded.
Then, what better to get her on our side than to show her that we love? Tell her about Star.
Dreams concluded.
Trust me, she loves foals and she was my foal sitter, after all.
Twilight added. Nightmare looked into Cadence's eyes, looking for any hints of deceptions. Finding none, she spoke.
Come. We have a lot to talk about, and I need to check on my daughter.
Both Cadence and Shining seemed frozen, like statues for a long moment. She could hear Dreams laughing and rolling on the floor in the mental space.
Are you coming?
She asked. Shaking free from her daze, Cadence asked.
You have a foal. Yes. She is my little star.
Nightmare said, feeling the warmth and happy thoughts inside of her.
Oh, I nearly forgot the food.
Twilight thought before taking control of their horn. A single flash, and all the food disappeared.
How old is she?
Cadence asked.
A few days or years. It's a bit hard to tell.
What? Shining cut in.
Magic.
Nightmare answered. That's not an answer you would normally be happy with, he replied. She twitched her wings in a shrug.
It had something to do with the elements of harmony.
The elements can give you foals, Shining said in confusion. Nightmare paused, really thinking about everything.
If Twilight had not defeated me, had she not used the elements and commanded them with the intent to save ponies, instead of banishing me... You Tartarus. Damned. Rox, you planned this.
Her mind flicked back to her little star.
And now I can't even hate you for it. Yes, if you ask nicely. And it promotes harmony.
Nightmare giggled, and she couldn't help herself. That whole situation was insane.
You need to go get Star now.
Dreams mentally prodded her to get her moving.
Wait here. I'll be back in a moment with her.
Nightmare said, holding back further giggles. Once she rounded the corner, she placed a hoof on the wall. The tree felt happy and a little amused.
Laugh it up. Can you take me to my daughter, please?
She thought to it. Again, the transition was instant. There before sleeping soundly was her daughter, her little star. She was both the greatest gift ever given to her, and the best trap imaginable.
Stupid rocks,
she mumbled with no real venom. She reached out with a hoof, stroking Star's mane. She smiled, lighting her horn. It was a simple spell, and an old spell. one of Luna's first that she had truly invented on her own. Leaning down, she tapped her horn to Star's, letting the spell take effect. Star stretched and immediately opened her eyes.
Princess!
She said, defeating Nightmare with the most powerful of attacks. Sparkling eyes, and a hug. Nightmare folded her wings around her.
My brave little Star. That is the last time you will need to use my title.
Star tilted her head in confusion, worry just starting to creep into her eyes. Nightmare's smile stretched wide.
I have found the most wondrous of information.
The joy in Nightmare's tone stripped the fear from Star.
You have?
Star said. Nightmare could see all sorts of ideas dancing behind Star's eyes as she tried to guess what it could be.
Yes, my daughter.
Star froze. She was completely motionless for 2 full seconds. Nightmare began to worry mentally, reaching for and receiving a medical scanning spell. In a flash of light, Star teleported from the hug, an endless stream of
Yes, yes, yes!
emanating from her as she danced, pranced, and teleported around Nightmare.
So that's what that looks like.
Twilight observed.
It's so cute.
Dreams added.
Come, we have some of our family to meet.
Nightmare caught Star in her aura.
Mommy, will I grow wings like you one day?
The horrid thought of being without her little Star invaded the happiness of Nightmare's mind.
Yes, even if I have to give them to you myself.
She pledged.
We all will help.
Dreams said, and Nightmare smiled.
Come, they're waiting for us.
Nightmare reached out with a hoof and asked the tree to take them back, and the tree happily did so.
I have more family! Best day ever!
Star said before continuing to hop around in joy.
Yes, yes, yes! More satisfying than eternal night?
Twilight asked. Nightmare did not answer. Instead, she turned her attention to her little Star. She couldn't help but laugh.
Now, there are 2 ponies I want you to meet,
she said, starting to walk back to Shining in cadence. She lifted Star again and placed her upon her back.
Are they nice ponies?
Star asked. She didn't even have to think about her answer.
Mm-hmm. They are 2 of the nicest ponies. You know I would never want you to meet any more bad ponies.
She rounded the corner and for the first time allowed other ponies to see her daughter.
Hi, my name's Little Star.
Star said, waving with almost enough effort to make her fall from Nightmare's back. Nightmare shifted her wings so Star couldn't fall. A joyous smile claimed domain over Cadence's face.
Nice to meet you, Star. I'm your Auntie Cadence.
She pointed at Shining with a wing.
And this is your Uncle Shining. Where are your wings?
Star asked, looking at Shining, eyes full of innocent curiosity. Twilight pulled Nightmare's gaze to Cadence, who looked saddened.
She is going to lose him,
Nightmare thought. Sorry, I'm just a unicorn, Shining said, rubbing his neck.
That's okay. I'm sure Mommy can fix that.
Shining laughed and reached over, patting Star on the head affectionately. Cadence met Nightmare's gaze.
Can you?
She silently mouthed. Nightmare tilted her head and looked thoughtfully at Twilight's brother.
Twilight would lose him too,
she thought. Getting the group moving, she leaned in closer to Cadence's ear.
Possibly.
She whispered so quietly only an alicorn could hear it. In a burst of dazzling light, Star teleported from Nightmare's to Cadence's back.
What you talking about?
Star looked up at both of them, eyes full of wonder.
Wings.
Nightmare said.
Oh, okay.
Star said. Twilight, can I ask why you have that crystal covering you? Shining asked. Nightmare stiffened for a moment, hating the fact that she did not know how to even create the armor, let alone remove it.
I needed it for protection, and the only way I know how to get rid of it is to smash it.
Cadence blinked.
Oh, it's been a very long week, and it takes a lot of effort to break it. I'll do something about it later. It looks pretty,
Star said. A scroll and quill popped into existence, and she started sketching her mother. The rest of the walk was full of happier things, and Star sketching everyone as she teleported from pony to pony. It's nice to look at and understand different perspectives of what other people and ponies are thinking, because it really does help out a lot to explain so many different things, depending on what it is. Anyway, I'd love to give a very special thank you to my descriptive donators. Top donator, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, Dresden, Dospo, RuneScythe9852, Courier Cruciai, Delta Omega, Ryan E. Dragonwolf, Dwight Cornell, Gaggy, Secret Moon, Tall Rasha, Starlight Glimmer, David D. Sanchez, Trey, Pokekiller Zach, Soul Dragon, Dak Britton, Joe Pierce E, and Alex F. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.